Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're watching here on YouTube or if you're listening on the podcasting platforms, welcome. I am MartineFelton, and you are listening to Martine's Musings. Today, I have a special guest with me, my good friend, Con Knight. How are you, Con?
I am phenomenal. Even better now that I'm here with you.
Great, great, great. So, how are things going with you?
Things are going really well in terms of my energy, spirit, my connection with my greater awareness,
Mm-hmm.
and gaining control of this body. That's my biggest focus is being able to heal the body and at a molecular level. And
Awesome.
you're really just connecting with the body and
Yeah.
understanding it and living with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's a large part of your work, but what I wanted to let's take it back um, a little bit from to the beginning, really, to how did you, when did you first awaken, and how did you awaken to your mediumship and channeling gifts?
I didn't really realize it. It's now that I look back that those gifts, that opening already there. I'm a big martial
Mm.
artist. I've been in martial arts for 30 years. I'm a 6th degree black belt in kung fu, and my teacher comes from Indonesia and trains us for 2 weeks in Tai Chi. And I'm very much on that side. Martial arts ends up opening up your spiritual sense. It increases your awareness. You just
Right.
need to know what your boundaries are in the space around you. And after you get past a certain point, it's no longer about fighting. Because initially, when you first start taking martial arts, especially on the male bravado, it's I gotta fight because that's our 80s
Hmm.
Rambo way. You've got to be the strong guy. And once you go past that, it's no longer about the fight. It becomes very spiritual, and you become much more aware and open, and your pathway changes. So it actually began in martial arts. It wasn't until I just started noticing things with my body not functioning. And it happened mainly on my left side. I noticed I wasn't able to kick on my left side as well. I couldn't raise my knee up as high. I didn't have the speed that I had on my
Hmm.
right side. And eventually I got to a point where I couldn't walk upstairs. My left foot just dropped. It hit the first step, and I dragged it up and flopped it on the next step. And that's when I started to get a little bit into panic mode. And my wife is a holistic nutritionist and traditional Chinese acupuncturist, and she's very much in the health industry. So she started working on me, and my body started getting worse. And that's when I started going. I don't really go to traditional doctors,
Right.
but I went to a regular doctor and went to the neurologist, and they start saying things like I have transverse myelitis, which means transverse is up and down, and
Hmm.
myelitis means there's something going on with the myelin, with the coating on the nerves.
Okay.
So they started seeing some inflammation in my spine. That eventually developed into MS and degenerative disc disease, so that the body started shutting down.
Yeah.
But that was really began like I got to go look what is going on here. So after really getting really clean with my diet, because I wasn't really the best eater,
Hmm.
and I eat a lot of fast food, well, I started doing a juicing cleanse, and I drank cold pressed juices. It lasted for 66 days before I said, okay, I need regular food now. And my body got really clean and healthy. I
Hmm.
got to a point that my body was so clean, so healthy that when the body was no longer healing, and then when you watch all the documentaries, when you go that path, typically that's the instant cure. It didn't work for me. It just kept on getting worse.
Right.
At that point, my Tai Chi teacher said, well, I want you to go do Vipassana. And for those that don't know, Vipassana is a 10-day meditation retreat where you hand in your cell phone. They give you a place to sleep. They give you food. There's no cost to it. It's all volunteer based. And you essentially cut out all communication from everyone around you.
Okay.
And you wake up in the morning at 4 a.m., you shuffle to the meditation hall, and you meditate for 2, 3 hours. Then
Hmm.
the bell goes off, you shuffle your way to the breakfast hall, and there's a single lineup of a buffet, and you fill your plate, you face one direction, you make no eye contact with anything, you have no conversations with anybody, and you eat in silence. And you proceed with that back and forth, going to your dorm, going to the meditation, and you're essentially meditating 10 hours a day for 10 days straight.
With no talking.
No talking, not even like holding the door or giving a nod to somebody as a thanks, no eye
Wow.
communication. The idea, so this was started by Buddha thousands of years ago.
Hmm.
And the notion behind it is that by having no communication, no extra discussions, you have no extra thoughts in your head to process. Let's face it, like when we pass somebody, there might be some judgmental thoughts. We're like, oh, look at that. Look at what they're wearing. Look at their
Yeah, yeah,
shoes. Oh, I like that. Look at their hair. And you
yeah.
might have those conversations. Well, when you don't have that anymore, there's no additional thought. So it allows you to start working on yourself and getting really close to yourself. And Vipassana, the 10 days is actually the minimum start. They continue on with 20, 30, 40 months at a time where you follow this process. Well, within those 10 days, the first 3 is in order to prepare the body to teach you the Vipassana process. And that's essentially scanning your body, and you go through your eyes, your nose, your cheeks, your lips, you follow a process of being able to scan every part of your body.
Hmm.
And you go up and down, up and down. Well, as you do that, you notice an itch or a tingle or any type of sensation. It might be heat, it might be cold. When you notice that, you put your mind onto it and you just stay with it. And you just allow it to unfold the way it needs to unfold.
Hmm.
In the Buddhist thought, they say that, well, that is one of your issues in the back in your life, whether it's this life or a past life, but you're dealing with something in your life.
Okay.
And as you let that itch fade away or that tickle fade away, it clears that sankara, that issue out of your body. So you continue this process for 10 days. Now, I'll tell you, I was so glad to get out of there that in the last couple of days, like I was craving an A&W plant-based burger. I love my burgers. And I was like dreaming of this even before seeing my wife. And
Yeah.
but second before that was I wanted an A&W plant-based burger. And I was dreaming of this thing. And literally on the last day when it finally shut down, I was doing a jig to get out of there. Well, to take one step back, because I really got excited about the burger, but I really should say that what I learned from that Vipassana is that I had at least 3 or 4 big moments, these big epiphanies.
Yeah.
And I saw that, oh, this wasn't a physical thing. This is emotional. I
Mm.
need to deal with the emotions in my body. And that really led me deep into going into meditations and understanding the mind body aspect.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where it lay. And after I left Vipassana, I had this really big understanding. I started doing a lot of work and research into psychoneuroimmunology, which is
Hmm.
essentially the psychology of the neurons and the body and the biology of the body.
Right.
So, and the immune system. So following that, I started following the works of things like Lynn McTaggart, Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Hmm.
and really looking at the science and became like students of them to the point that I still kind of run healing workshops now on a weekly basis with Dr. Joe's type work. And
Yeah.
it was
His work
incredible.
is really big. It's really his work is really huge.
Huge. And it really is appreciated. I mean, what for me, I had this really analytical mind. My background was in computers and websites and hosting and the back end technology of search engine optimization. So it was
Hmm.
all very analytical and technical, and that's who I was. And being an analytical person, trying to now, I always believed in energy and movement of that, especially through my martial arts and the
Right.
spirituality of it. I was a big Oprah person as well, and Deepak Chopra, and I really liked their work. And my wife, she would listen to it, so I was in that space, so it rubbed off on me.
Hmm.
So from that alone, it I had an inkling of it. I have a belief in it, but I didn't really practice it. It's like all those things. You watch the shows, you speak it, but you don't actually walk the walk. You
Right.
talk
Yeah, I
it, but you don't speak
understand.
it. So I was a big talker, but I was never a big walker. And it's after doing Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and doing the meditations, getting really aware of my body, it enhanced everything. And that's when I guess that led me into Lynn McTaggart, and she's an investigative journalist, and she created a book, The Power of Eight, and she really focused in on intentions, on group intentions.
Okay.
So, when a bunch of us get together, if you get 8 people together and they meditate or they pray,
Mm-hmm.
there's an effect. And you might notice this is like really big in the churches, because this is all belong, and it's been written in the Bible that you get together in congregations, you get together. And when you pray and you have that single focus, there's an
Mm-hmm.
energy that's created. And especially when it's love based and it's caring based and it's peace based,
Mm-hmm.
that she tracked and saw the science behind it, that they marked these major global events based on large meditation groups, and they could track that, how this, when they did this, it changed the trajectory of major world events.
Right.
So she then started, she has this program. It's a 1-year program that you get together with like-minded people in your area. And in the first event, she probably had 1,000 people, and I was grouped with about 10 people in my province of Ontario and the neighboring provinces near me. And then we met on a weekly basis to not only practice this, but also to go into intention circles. So someone would say, okay, well, I'm working on this pain, I'm working on this ache, I want to manifest more money in my life, this is what I
Right.
want. So the practice was to create an intention. So learn how to write the intention and how to say it the right way of creation, without negativity, without falsities, without kind of second guessing it, but creating a solid intention.
Right.
And then as a group, we all focused on it. By doing that, we then didn't know what we were doing. We were just meditating. And then we would share, well, this is what I saw. And
Mm-hmm.
then in our group, as we did this in a group and everyone was saying, oh, this is what I saw. Oh, I saw that too. It was like, oh my gosh, like we really are connecting.
Mm-hmm.
And it really allowed us to let go of the thoughts that, is this really working? Because now we have proof that I wasn't trying to make somebody see something. How could you see somebody, a circle and a star and the color yellow and a flash of this color? It was so random that we were seeing these similar events. It wasn't just one of us or two of us.
Right.
It was like 3, 4, 5 of us all
Yes.
seeing these same images. And what we would do, we would write it down first. Before we would say it or share it with anybody else, we'd write it down. Say, yeah, that's what I saw. Hold up this piece of paper. So
Wow.
it really opened us up to say, yes, there is something more about energy and intention and in connection, and especially do something as a group.
I've been present in when things like that have happened in medium, in I think in some of the live practices that I've been a part of, and I'm not sure if you've been a part of, where we would be channeling and some people would see like the same things. That's
Yeah.
happened. Yes, I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah. Well, it was right after that.
Hmm.
My buddy, who I brought into the Lynn McTaggart work in the group, she brought me into a medium that was selling courses, who passed across her feed, and I joined Kristen Davies' group. And in Kristen
Yes.
Davies' group, that's where I learned about angel cards. Like I
Yeah.
never used angel cards. My wife had angel cards, but I had, so
But
I
that's
bought
where I
myself.
think we came across. It was either Kristen's or Williams.
It was Williams. Yeah,
But
it
you were
was.
in you were in the group with Kristen, because I think I took 2 of Kristen's classes.
Right.
You were definitely, we didn't connect. We didn't, I guess we just didn't, our paths didn't cross, but I know that you were in that group in a class of mine one time in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us started out in Kristen Davies
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
classes, and at that point, it was perfect to give me the basics and continue
Hmm.
with that group practice. But instead of intentions, now we're doing card practice,
Yes.
and that's when, like you just said, we're starting to get similar visions, and people
Hmm.
start resonating with. They would ask a question, well, what do you see about my future, or how about my love, what's going on with my health? And we would all tune in, we pull a card, and we look at it, and we share our visions. And it was from that, it's like, well, yeah, okay, now I'm doing this for one-on-one, and just like you experienced, that
Hmm.
we would do this for each other. And that really opens up your drops the second guessing, that
Yes.
ego thought that says, no, this is BS. And then we realized, well, I'm not special, because we can all do this. and now we're all doing it. And the great thing is that we're doing it with people all over the world. From like we're doing it with men,
All
we're doing it
walks
with
of life,
all walks of
from like
life.
all corners of the world,
Yeah,
literally.
and that alone really lets go of any egotism, any thoughts, or any any oh, what's the word? It's prejudiced. Any
Yes.
prejudice that you might have against another culture or
Hmm.
race or gender, and you start thinking, oh well, we are all the same, and based on the questions that people are bringing up, it's like it doesn't matter who you are. We all have the same issues. We've
Yes.
all got the same questions. We all have the same need for love. We all have the same money issues. We all have
Hmm.
the same worries about family. We all love our children. We
Yeah.
all love our spouses. Like it's like there's nothing different about us. And even the difference between men and women, which I found is a greater difference
Hmm.
than race or culture, it comes down to there's so many similarities there that we're just loving, caring, emotional beings. So
Yeah.
that really tore down everything that well, we're all the same. Like I don't got to present myself in a certain way. I just got to be me and who is a kind of a caring, loving person and learn that, some of the conditioned words that I might say that it might be offensive to other people. Like, oh, okay, well, thank you for teaching me that. And
Hmm.
when you're in that loving environment and you make a mistake, instead of being beaten up and ostracized, you're
Right.
welcomed into the group.
Yes. I've always felt that good, positive, loving energy from these groups. And honestly, with the people that I met, like you and others, going through my day to day, I would have never thought that I would have connected with such a diverse group of people and it be nothing but love
Yeah.
at the same time. Like
Yeah.
that really affected me in a way. It's like, so like you said, we're all the same. Basically, we're all the same.
The biggest wake up call for me is that I found that in being in a computer industry and in technology, it's male dominated. And when women would come into that industry, my cohorts around me wouldn't be as welcoming. They would be very
Mm,
defensive, very competitive. But in this world, which was typically more female open, because women are
yeah.
much more open, they're much more aware, they're much more connected,
Yes.
that women welcomed me. They brought me in, they nurtured me. That when they were the ones that were saying, no, it's okay, you're in a
Hmm.
safe space, go for it. It's
Yep.
okay to have that emotion, it's okay to have that thought, that feeling. So being in this nurturing environment, you really are brought into the womb of womanhood, of motherhood, and how nurturing it is, and that
Hmm.
really takes you back into the center of creation.
Hmm.
So that really was like what I was thankful for. It's like, you know what? If it wasn't for women to welcome me in this group, women of all walks of life,
Yeah.
of everywhere, of all cultures, it's yeah. So I have a big respect for women, which was something my mother always instilled me very very early on, because she was a strong woman as well, very smart and knowledgeable. So
Hmm.
she made sure I was knowledgeable about religion and culture and different races and
Hmm.
people, that we weren't what we saw, that there's more to who we are.
Yeah,
So yeah.
for sure. For sure. And so then you're channeling and connecting with your guides, connecting with archangels. And how has that process been for you so far?
Well, I'm a bit of a bull when it comes to
Mhm.
that. I'm one of those fools that just jumps right in. That even as a kid, like if I wanted to be funny, I would get like this umbrella hat and walk to school and be the class clown. And I was always throw myself into things and
Right.
not worry about being embarrassed. So during Kristen Davies' work, we were encouraged to go into practice circles and join in on a live platform like this, that
Mhm.
we would all go on stream on Facebook and connect in a group setting where we would just read cards for each other. And most of the people stayed in the comments, but a few of us would go on screen like this, and we would practice.
Yeah, I would never go on screen back then. I
No?
wouldn't. No, no way. No, I've come a long way, Con. I would never do the live.
Nice.
But now I can do live all day. Like I don't care. But
Yeah, yeah, because you're amazing at it. You let go of that. What are
yes,
people
I
going to
did
give
let
you?
go of that. But sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, that's it. We have the same journey. It's
Yeah,
the
we
exact
do.
same. It's putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
So after I would purposely put myself out there because I knew from martial arts, you face the fight, and it's all about the gut. So I would fight a lot of people that my teacher would throw me into a closed room door and say, "Okay, fight them," and you know nothing about them. And a lot of the times they would be masters of 14, 15 years, and I would do really well or get my ass cleaned. But it didn't matter. That
Hmm.
it was just about showing up. So in these practice sessions, I would create the events. I would say, okay, we're doing a practice, and I would create them and I would invite people to come. So I was just that type of person.
Right.
I eventually was guided by my guide at that time was Eric. And my guide said, we're going to go on YouTube and do these practice sessions. So I would go on YouTube and go through channeling all the different clairs. And I started this channeling Eric for 36 days as I was guided to.
Hmm. I remember
And
that.
that I began to practice and connect. Well, it wasn't until the last 36 days that I discovered that it wasn't just my guide saying that his name was Eric, and I just happened to be doing a show called Channeling Eric. And I didn't realize, but there's another Channeling Eric that's quite famous on YouTube, and it's helped quite a bit of people. Well, on the 36th day or on the 37th day wrap up party, a medium came in and said, no, you're channeling this Eric Medhus. This isn't your guide, Eric. He's been pranking you for 36 days. And that's now where I channel the guide, channeling Eric, in order to help people open up their expansiveness and through healing. So
Hmm.
he's brought me down a path of that's taking his mother's work even further to help people heal their bodies as I'm healing my own body. So
Wow.
yeah, so that was really big. Just putting myself out there, going on YouTube and doing all these practice sessions, and then eventually, again, I would just say every Friday, okay, I'm going live. You come bring me your questions, and whatever you are, you just come asking questions, and I'm using this time for practice. And I
Right.
did that for about 3 years now.
Yeah, you've been doing it for quite some time because I remember when you started it. So what in terms of your work, um I know you're on YouTube and you're doing a lot of emotional release work on Patreon as well.
Yeah, yeah. So with William Michael Forbes, which was the next teacher I was guided to, who's
Hmm.
become a really good friend and mentor to me. Um, his sessions, he channels the different ascended masters, and he walks you through a process of various meditations. And at the core of it is going into silence and expanding your awareness and becoming more sensitive with your body.
Right.
And the second stage is actively releasing emotions. So as we go through the day, or as we have a lot of negative self-talk, you look in the
Hmm.
mirror, you wake up in the morning, you say, "Oh, look at my skin. Oh, my hair doesn't look good. Look at that extra weight on my belly." We really start criticizing ourselves instead of loving
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
So it's that process that instead of really look at those emotions that are making you feel this way. Uh, it was a very simple, efficient way of releasing emotion. Because after you did that, after you faced your fears, and after you faced that judgment, and you really looked at the deepness behind it, you were able to feel really good about yourself
Yeah.
to a point that you end up loving yourself. And at that point, I realized it's all about raising your vibrations and moving yourself into high, loving vibrations. So all vibrations are on the same level, whether it's on the lower end of fear or on the higher end of
Of
love.
love. Yeah.
So I've purposely moved myself to spending and practicing. It's a practice of looking at myself in the mirror, looking in my eyes, saying "I love you," and squirming. It's, oh my god, that feels so horrible. And then going
It
further,
does. It does.
right? You've done that work, right?
Yes, I have done that work and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm such a loser. But I kept doing it.
Yeah. And what happened?
It changed my mindset. It changed, eventually changed my mindset, and I didn't look at myself in the mirror and criticize. Eventually, little by little, it takes time. It's a process.
It takes
But I
time. Yeah.
stopped criticizing, what I looked like, or the negative, the limiting beliefs that I had, and I just kind of transmuted that energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really goes into that destructive self-talk that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Because when outside people, when I look at you, it's like, wow, this is a really gorgeous woman. Look at her kids, look at her family, look at the life
Mm-hmm.
that she has. Like these are really beautiful people. And I'm really happy to be around them because they make me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look at ourselves, we have so
Right.
much self-doubt and negativity. But then when you look at your kids, you only see beauty as well.
Yes, I
So
do.
and
My
luckily,
kids my kids provide inner child healing for me, and
yeah,
it took a while for me to realize that that was one of the gifts that they give me on a daily basis, is like that inner child, like, because they see the world so differently from what I'm seeing it.
yeah,
And so when you get down to a child's level, literally, even get down on the floor with them and play
yeah,
and talk, you just you forget about adulting, because they're
yeah,
just on a higher level.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's so amazing because they're little kids
yeah,
with
yeah.
like no care in the world.
And that's what this work does. It helps you just release all those conditions and thoughts that you think that you
Yes.
you need to be. And then once you tear it down and you look at a child, when a kid is up to 5 years old, they get it near seven, they don't have that analytical conditioning. They don't have that no, no, no built into them. They don't got
Hmm.
to think that way. They're just open and expressive. So they
Yes.
want to cry, they cry. When they want to laugh, they laugh. When they want to be with you, they'll come to you. When they want
Hmm.
to be with somebody else, they'll go to that other person. Like there is no filter with them.
Right.
And it also means like they're living their truth. Well,
Hmm.
when we're conditioned this way, we start creating these expectations. Well, I got to do this because this was expected of me. I need to send out these Christmas cards. I need to send out this big Happy New Year to everybody because that's what's expected of me. And you
Hmm.
start doing things against what feels right for you. It's like, well, I don't want to do this, but well, I'm expected to. Otherwise, people are going to look at me and judge me and say bad things about me. So once you let go of that, you end up going back into really the eyes of a child. And with your own kids that your kids are raising your energy. They give you life. You end up just
Yeah.
looking at them. And in that present moment, you're not thinking about bills. You're not thinking about work. You're not thinking about anything else.
Hmm.
You're just looking at the beauty of your kids.
Yep.
And that
Exactly.
essentially is being in the present moment. And that's the basis of this work.
Yeah.
Learning how to be in the present moment and nourish it and care for it. And that's all
Yeah.
that channeling is.
And that being in that moment, releasing your emotions, and that allows you to be open to spirit at the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And whatever label you want to put onto it, you
Yeah.
want to say spirit, universe, source, God, my gut, my intuition, just
Hmm.
a feeling that I had, a guiding light. It's all the same thing with a different label. And
Yeah.
once we let go of those labels, we start looking at no longer judging other people and say, and that goes back to like, we are all the same. We're just giving it different labels. And at the start, I didn't believe in angels or God, or I did as a child, but as I got older and
Hmm.
had this conditioning put on me, it's like, well, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in this. I believe in energy because I can feel it, but I don't really believe
Right.
in God. It wasn't until I started doing this work and sensing the different guides and angels. Okay, well, let's call in Archangel Michael. Okay, Archangel Michael, let's call him in. And it's like you start feeling in. Okay, well, I feel this, I feel that, I feel warmth here. And then someone says, yeah, I feel that too. Okay, well, now let's call in Mother Mary. Oh, well, I'm kind of feeling this warm. So it kind of feels like a blanket. I feel really comforted and peaceful.
Yes.
And then we start calling in these different entities, and as you start getting familiar with their energy, it's like, holy crap, this is true. Like there are different sensations that you are
Hmm.
feeling. And this is me coming from an analytical mind, that you're feeling these entities like, wow, well, maybe they are there, and other people are sharing the same experiences, that you hear them, that you've never spent time with them, you've never been with them, and they're now saying the same things as well. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I feel this warm blanket. Like someone that's new to it as well. Like yes, yes, and
Yes.
this isn't me like putting thoughts in your head. You're experiencing and feeling this.
I remember one of my first experiences really feeling an energy, and it was Mother Mary.
Yeah.
And it felt like a hug.
Yes.
It felt like a hug, like from a grandma. And
Yes.
I was like, yes, this is it. And that's when I was sold, because I was apprehensive at first. I was like, I don't know about this. But as you know, I just kept doing the work. And then when she came in for me and gave me that hug, that was it. And I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah. So, did you grow up in a religious family?
I did. I grew up Catholic, going to
Right.
church every Sunday.
So they spoke about these angels and
Oh, of course.
yeah.
Yes, I believed in Jesus first and foremost, God and angels and all of that. And but on what was extra for me is that I grew up in the Catholic Church. I went to church every Sunday with my dad. I had all my sacraments,
Hmm.
but also my mom, she was very much into ancestor veneration.
Right.
And we're from Haiti. So in her Haitian spirituality.
Hmm.
Um, and so I grew up with seeing her venerating our ancestors. And what that looks like in the household is burning candles, leaving water, leaving
Right.
coffee, food for your ancestors to eat, having altars, but she hid them. She
Oh.
hid them away. Yes,
Okay.
she hid them because not everyone, my dad really wasn't into it. He was all about the church.
Right.
But she was fine with the church too, but she also was like, I need to venerate my dad who's passed on, and
Right.
my family and my spirit guides and things like that. So I had both. I had both.
Yeah. So
So that it wasn't easy for me. It wasn't hard. I mean, it wasn't hard for me to really do this.
yeah. And I guess the question for you is that what you're taught in the church and even from your family, but
Mhm.
then as you're living your life, did
Yes.
you have that same belief as experiencing it for yourself?
When as I started getting older, I kind of backed away from the church naturally. And then I started learning about other belief systems. Like I was really into Buddhism, and I was like, where has this been all my life? Because it made such sense to me.
Yeah.
It made so much sense. And so I got into that. Everything goes in phases. When you're trying to find yourself, once I find something that I really resonate in, I OD it. I
Yes.
OD on it until I'm like, okay, I'm done. Right?
I hear you.
Let's move on to the next thing. And so I was into I studied a lot of Buddhism. Then I got into the African traditional religions with the Orisha, the
Right.
Haitian voodoo. So I'm a practitioner of that as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
Love it. I love it. And it goes to show like how open you are, that you're just following your feeling. And
yes.
it's not like you're saying, I'm a medium at that point, I'm a psychic. It's like, I'm just following a feeling, your gut, your intuition that
Hmm.
felt right for you. That if anyone said, no, 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 that no, no, this feels right. It's raising my vibrations. I'm feeling good.
Yes.
No matter what label somebody puts on it, especially with voodoo, voodoo has good thoughts and good
Energy.
mentions and
Hmm.
negative mentions. So
Hmm.
here's something that you're able to see the good in it and work with it, right?
Yeah.
And take what you needed out of it and then move on.
Yeah. But my mother always instilled that in me and my brother to always, she always said to me, it doesn't matter what church you go to.
Beautiful.
We're all trying to get to the same place.
Yeah.
And you always have to respect everyone else's. spiritual beliefs.
Beautiful.
Always respect that. And that stayed in my head because I always felt like, you know, all of these different spiritual avenues are just trying to get to the same place, right?
Exactly. And that goes back to the mother energy.
Mm-hmm.
Every mother is the nucleus of the family. That, you always hear the saying that she has eyes in the back of her head. Well, mom does, and you do. You know exactly where your kids are. You know where your
Mm-hmm.
husband is. But
Mm-hmm.
as a male, we're disconnected, and that was something that I needed to learn. That as I studied not only religion and people, but I had to really study women, and I studied the energy of how they connected their sixth sense, their guide. That when I really first began this, that when I would leave my house and I would get onto the road, I had a choice of going right or left. Well, because of women and their intuition, it's like, well, I want to build up my intuition. So if I go right, I'm going to hit the stop sign. And usually if the traffic light is right, but that's right before it, I'm going to hit that stop sign and I'm going to get right into traffic and I'm right into it. If I go the other way, I have a traditional stop sign, a traffic light that is timed, and it takes a set amount of time that I'm not going to be there. But if I want to risk it and see, will I get that stop sign and
Mm-hmm.
save myself 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Let's try it. So I would tune into my intuition, and it would really be trying to focus in on that first thought, that first feeling, before the ego mind kind of says, no, 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 you want to go the other
Yeah.
way. So I would focus in on that, which I would learn from studying women, of just following their first intuition and their
Yeah, that first
openness and
intuition.
connectedness, which is something much more natural. So that was kind of my first kind of practice with it. So I have a real appreciation for women, and that's where we're moving back into understanding the creation of God, of that energy, of we have how our third eye is and how we have work with the different dimensions, and
Mm-hmm.
where the center of creation is. It goes back into the womb and womanhood, and this is where emotions come in. That women are very sensitive. That we've always been told, don't cry as a male, walk it
Right.
off. You don't
Right.
cry, you suck it up. And then for the
I've been
women
told
that,
this. I've been told that too. I've been told that as a woman, don't cry.
there we go. So we're all told this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we're told to act a different way than we would as a child. As a child, if a child wants to cry, they're just gonna wail, like, ah, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and the parents are embarrassed. They're trying to stop it. Don't do that. It's not how to act. But
Yeah.
it's that expression that they need to be. Once we learn how to work with that expression, because all emotions, feelings, thoughts, every hurt that we have, every illness that we have, is that we haven't taken care of the child body
Right.
that we haven't nurtured it, that we need to get
Yes.
back into the body and just say, you know what, I see you, I love you, I'm here for you. And when you go through that practice, and it sounds really odd, but when your body issues a pain sensation, it's like, wow, that really hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is really just your baby, your body, which isn't more than a 5-year-old, that's saying, I need attention here. And it's learning that practice of moving into that area. Where does the pain feel? Oh, I feel in this area. Okay, let me move my attention there. And then quiet yourself. So this is where meditation comes in, or even just
Mm-hmm.
practicing being in the present moment, that you become more sensitive and aware to the sensations around you and those the feeling in your body. So you move into that area and just get really close. And when you sit there, you give it love. And that any child, as a parent, you would know that really, as a child, all they want is
It's
attention.
love.
All
Yeah,
they
and
want is
attention.
love. They just want to, I'm here. But instead, what we do as adults, we say, well, I'm going to take a pill because I got a headache. So I'm going to take this drug. I'm going to go out and drink, forget my problems. I'm going to smoke this weed or hash, and I'm just getting really high. Or you just avoid the problems. And that's what we learned by going to the doctor. It's like, oh, you got a pain? Here, take this pill. So
Yeah.
learn that everything is just a quick fix, quick fix, quick fix,
Yeah.
instead of paying attention to it.
Yeah. This has been a really awesome conversation, Con. Thank you so much. Where can people find you online? Because I know you have a show on YouTube, Divine Soul Awakening, correct?
Yes, you definitely know that as one of the early panelists that
Yes.
were on there when we first started. For those of you who don't need know, Martine, she was one of our panelists that brought a lot of guidance and wisdom to our first, probably first 1 or 2 seasons you're with us,
Yes.
Martine.
Yeah. Hmm.
Divine Soul Awakening still happens. We've reduced it down to the first and third Wednesday of every month. You can find it on my YouTube channel at connight.com, just as you see my spelling, KHANKNIGHT.com.
Okay.
I also have my website and Patreon group. So if you go to connight.com/YouTube, you go to my YouTube, connight.com/Patreon, go to my Patreon page. And really what I'm focusing on is helping people regain the awareness in their body through
Hmm.
meditation, through releasing emotions. And then once you kind of clear that space, now you can create creation. And that's how you create in 5D, because we're all manifesting. But if your thoughts are all in that negativity, we need to move into love, because you are creating that negativity. So by
Right.
moving ourselves into a practice of love, by actively working on those emotions, when we create and manifest, we're just in pure love. So that's what I focus on: raising your vibrations and manifesting, releasing emotions. And that all that ends just happens to be channeling, connecting to spirit, connecting into mediumship,
Hmm.
moving into love, raising your vibrations, healing the body. It's all the same thing. And that's what we've been taught that isn't possible, but it is.
Beautiful. Perfect. And I will have all of Khan's links in the description box and podcast notes, episode notes, so that everyone can contact Khan or join his Patreon and watch his YouTube channel if you would like that. So thank you, Khan, again. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to Martine's Musings. And I will see you all next time. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You're welcome.